You're listening to
But First, a Big Brother podcast.
Hosted by superfans
Nick,
Praz, and Jill.
So let me just lighten the mood by saying, happy birthday, Danny. Yay! And my birthday present to you is to tell you how gorgeous you looked last week. You looked like that very pretty actress, Busy Phillips.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we better just get started. I know we have a lot to talk about, but first, Jill, how are you?
I'm fine, just really getting excited for this episode.
And Nick, are you here?
Unfortunately, Nick is in mourning.
hello Jill, hello Praz.
Hi, Nicoles.
You know, just hearing how happy you just said you are, Jill, it really hurts me and my core because I don't know what could be so happy in a time like this.
What do you mean, like 2020?
No. Oh, 2020, shmoney money. I'm talking about the fact that Jenelle was so close to winning HOH last night and she lost. And now my witchy intuition is telling me she and Kaser will be nominated.
All right. Well, I know we started the pod, but I think we got to save that for our predictions section. And
It's all I can think about. It's all that's on my mind.
We know you're sad, Nick, but let's do a blockbuster rewind and let's let our listeners have a normal episode, and we'll address your issues towards the end. How about that?
Thank you. Thank you, all the listeners, for reaching out today as well.
You know, hopefully just us talking about the excitement of the week can maybe bring you back. And listen, it's not over till it's over. Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
And why don't we talk about a positive, which is that you were so close to your witchy vibes were really close last week.
They were really, really close. I mean, the fact that I even just said Nicole and David, and it didn't even just I know earlier this week, Jill said, Nick, what do you guess? And I said, I don't guess, honey. Oh, no. I manifest it. And the fact that I did see in the cards that David and Nicole would go up, I just think that was pretty good for me, considering, Memphis, who knew what he was going to do and clearly had zero interest in being an effective HOH and doing anything.
Rewinding back to Memphis and our predictions last week, I want to say I did predict Nicole, and the reason I did, which is probably maybe the first thing we should talk about with the last week, is Safety Suite and who played, who didn't play, and what Memphis's strategy was there for, choosing his nominations based on Safety Suite and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously Memphis told everybody who asked that they should play the Safety Suite, and while I find that annoying, I do think that that's actually pretty smart on his part, because this coming week is the last week it can be used. So he was basically weeding tons of people out so that he could potentially win the Safety Suite if somebody else were in power. So that's really interesting. It is strange, for Nicole not to play it, considering the HOH literally said, you should probably play it. And then she thought she was being bullied for that and wanted to stand by her guns and say, you can't bully me. However, there's also no guarantee she would have won. There's also no guarantee. I'm still convinced he would have nominated her anyway.
If she had, I don't know if it would have had any effect on who actually nominated had she not, won. But I think, it's an advantage in the game that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And I get that, everyone got it. So but Nicole didn't know if she had played in that Safety Suite and won, she might have been HOH this week, which then of course she wouldn't have played in Safety Suite. So it's for me, I feel like if you have any inkling that you should use it, you should use it and try. And she's like, oh, but so many other people were going to be playing. It's okay, so you'd rather save it for the last week when literally everyone else was going to be playing it, including people like comp beasts and stuff. Right. So I just feel like it was really foolish of her not to play, and I felt like she deserved to get nominated basically after that, because, and like I said, I don't know if it would have changed the effect of his nominations, but he told her you should play it, and I get fine if you don't want to, if you feel that secure, but then don't act shocked when you get nominated, at least David tried, and David, was like, okay, I have a feeling I'm not safe. I better play in the safety suite. It's like Nicole can't cry about going home week 2, and she had a chance to, she had multiple chances to try to save herself from that. She didn't get backdoored or anything. And I know we're jumping ahead, but that's just my opinion on this whole safety suite.
And of course, Christmas won the safety suite, which just felt like a waste. It was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was very interesting that she saved Ian, which Memphis did have his eye on. And I really do think if Ian wasn't safe, he might have either nommed him or backdoored him.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I 100% agree. Memphis was pissed about 2 things with Ian that week. I don't think he was as mad that Christmas saved him, but it was on the heels of Ian like not being able to pick someone for have not. Like he was like, I don't know who any volunteers. I don't want to pick any volunteers. So then Nicole's like, okay, Ian, I'll do it, because she didn't want to make him like give him anxiety. And I think that pissed Memphis off, because Memphis was getting a lot of shit for being like, David, you're my pick for have-nots, like get upstairs or whatever, like you got to do the time, like. And so people were saying, wow, that was really harsh, Memphis. But meanwhile, Ian didn't have to pick anyone, and I think that pissed Memphis off. And then obviously like Christmas saving him, which I mean I kind of understand, because it's just like he's, saying I'm getting all these targets put on me, and then meanwhile like people are saving Ian from having to make tough decisions left and right, or even like be put on the block because Christmas saves him. And I don't think it was like necessarily a bad choice for Christmas to save him, but I do wonder if that'll come into play down the road.
He also had that weird thing where he's like, I need to avenge Dan Giesling, which really grossed me out, because Dan already won. And yeah, Dan played a really, really, really great game. But like, okay, Ian won. And like, it's not like Dan is crying on Twitter being like, I was robbed, Memphis, avenge me. Like, it's just, it feels really weird. It also feels like a constructed like production note of being like, hey, maybe say it's about David. I mean, about Dan.
I agree. Yeah.
But somebody asked Dan, they were like, how do you feel about Memphis, like saying he wants to avenge you? And he was like, oh, I'm fine with it. Like, we're cool. Like, haha. And then somebody else was like, Dan, read the room. And he's like, what? He's like, nobody likes Memphis right now. Like, he's pissing all of us viewers off. And Dan was like, I'll always support Memphis, blah, blah, blah. Like, so.
I think Memphis proved this week that he is like so egotistical, and like was playing a pretty bad game, because his whole alliance, I mean, I don't know if they'll do anything about it. They probably won't, but they all like by Wednesday realized, oh my God, wait, this guy's crazy. Like they all were pissed off at him, which is just like, oh, why, when you guys are in power, and like, and he made it so obvious that he had some tie to Jenelle and Kaysar, because he like clearly didn't want to put them up, which is great. We're all so glad about that. But like, he just made it so obvious to his alliance. I just think it was such a weird week in terms of the HOH.
Yeah. One of my friends and loyal listeners was like, oh, he really showed his cards. And I was like, what cards? Like, he doesn't even have any. And she's like, well, it just showed that he wasn't loyal to that 6-person alliance. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. It was really weird to then like be like, tell that group what Jenelle said and then not want to do anything about it. It was literally, it felt very like high school drama. Like, I know something you don't know.
Yeah. I think that had he had the chance, it would have probably looked better, at least to his like 6-person alliance, to have nominated Ian, because besides, I guess maybe now Christmas and Nicole F, like I don't think anyone else would have been like, oh no, don't nominate Ian, he doesn't deserve it. But he didn't have the chance to do that because of Christmas, which is just, I think there's a like I don't know how much longer this 6-person, or I'm very confused actually about the configurations of the alliances, because there's that other 4-person one with some people, so I'm getting a little bit confused still, and it's not even that many to follow. And I feel like this is the easiest year, just as a side note, for me to follow what's going on, because in normal Big Brother seasons, it takes me probably 2 weeks to learn everyone's name. And so I'm like, who, what? But because I know all these players, it's been a lot easier to follow. But I'm still confused.
It's also confusing because it's like you have the 6 people, then there was the Davon, Bailey, Cody, and one other person that were like, we're cool too.
Right.
Then we had last night Ian, Danny, Cody, Nicole F, forming a four-person. Like, it's all the same people that just keep forming these alliances. And, at least we're not getting any more naming convention segments.
Well, what's annoying is they've been in power now for a while, but I don't think they're going to last the whole season by any means.
What even is their name? I'm already forgetting. I know they
didn't name it. It was the commission pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
That's what we called it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they never named it.
Let's to jump ahead to get through veto, because then we have some more fun stuff. I feel like some more or maybe sad stuff to address. But Memphis just, won the veto, unfortunately. And like I said, like, he made it super obvious to his alliance that he had some connection to Jenelle and Kaser because he didn't listen to them, and vice versa from Jenelle and Kaser. So it just was sort of a non-event, I feel like.
I'm trying to, like, let's say Tyler had won and taken David down, which was, his plan or whatever. Who would Memphis have nominated? Because I still don't think he would have done Jenelle or Kaser. So, like,
Kevin.
Kevin, yeah, I know. And it's like,
I think Kevin would have been the easiest no blood on my hands move.
Was Memphis's goal to always get out Nicole? Or, like, I know every day this week things sort of change, but, like, it felt like last night, like, okay, it was super clear that Nicole was going. And, like, do we know why that alliance wanted Nicole to go?
I don't think they did. Yeah.
They didn't. So, first off, this is what was so wasteful about Memphis's HOH run. He said he didn't even care who went home of his nominations. Mm-hmm. He chose the two kind of, like, pretty weak players. I'm sorry, but, like, David's been a pretty big letdown for me, and Nicole is not going to take on Memphis in a challenge. Mm-hmm. So it just felt dumb in the first place. He was aligned with too many people to actually do anything except probably nominate Jenelle and Kaser. And because they were on the other side. There was no point where the commission pyramid scheme was like, we got to get out Nicole A. No. And that's what was so weird. They were even surprised by it seemed. And especially when he wouldn't use the veto, they were pissed and surprised. So it was him wanting power, but not wanting to make a move. Mm-hmm. And it just made it very boring.
Got it.
It was almost too early for him to win. In his mindset, you try to win every competition you can. And I think we saw that, even on the premiere night, he tried really hard for HOH, and, he did pretty well, but he couldn't beat Cody. But I think he's just kind of almost like an anyone but me mentality. Like, I don't know, is he aligned with Enzo? I don't think there's any crossover there, because that's the interesting thing about last night. I thought one of the most shocking things to me was that Enzo voted for Nicole to stay.
Yes, I really think he voted for Nicole to stay only to then cause a problem later down the line.
Yeah. That's what
I think it's so that he can pin it on anybody. Mm-hmm. Some of the feed watchers were saying he might try to pin it on Davon. For a hot second, I thought another person from that alliance was going to vote for Nicole to stay, and then you were going to say that Jenelle and Kaser were doing it. Like, I was like that paranoid.
Me too. I actually thought Danny might. Like, she had this like devilish little look in her eyes that I thought she was going to, and I was like, oh, don't do it, because at that point,
not on Tennessee's birthday. So that's why I think Enzo did it. I don't know, because in all of Nicole's exit interviews today on, like, Entertainment Weekly and everything, she was like, I can't believe Enzo voted for me to stay. I guess we were tighter than I thought. And I'm like, I don't trust that. Like, she clearly has no idea what's happening.
Right.
Like, people do this. Like, you just throw off the Senate. Like, that's a very classic BB move. Like, that's what he did. And that's weird that she can't recognize that.
I would absolutely do that. I would never do, like, I would just try and do it just to piss the HOH off.
Nick would 100% do it.
It is a classic BB move, but Enzo, I guess, is, in that old school group of players, but it is not done more, in these newer seasons of Big Brother. It's very much like, gotta vote with the house, which you even saw, like, I think it was painful for Kaser, because he plays a very loyal game, which is why he has not gotten very far in his previous seasons. I think it really hurt him to have to vote against Nicole, but he did. He went with the house because he's trying to evolve his game. That's how I see it. Okay, so it makes sense then. I just thought that Enzo, I guess maybe we'll see it on the next episode if he's like, I did this to do that. I was just like, wow, he must have like promised Nicole his vote or something. Like, and then I was like, God, if Enzo had done that, if they could have just gotten, not that I didn't necessarily want David to be evicted, and Nicole, and we can get into this, like Nicole I thought was being just in general like a brat most of the week. And it bothered me a lot. And so at a certain point, I wanted her to go, but I wanted Jenelle and Kaser to be able to scoop up some more people. And I feel like they stayed in the Nicole A camp too long, like to their detriment. And it's frustrating. And we can get into this.
The whole thing is Jenelle told Nicole A, we will talk to Memphis on your behalf before nominations happened, and said, don't worry, girl. We can tell we're talking to Memphis. We can, sway him. They obviously couldn't, and he ended up nominating Nicole. So then Nicole starts thinking, well, they told me that they could sway him and they didn't. So are they working with him? And if so, am I their sacrifice? She literally thought that Jenelle and Kaser went up there and said, don't nominate us, instead nominate Nicole.
And people put that in her head. So like Danny and several others. I think.
People then on the other side of that house, which I hate even calling it the other side because it's just everybody else. Everybody else in the house was telling Nicole, oh, you can't trust Jenelle, you can't trust Kaser, like they're not here to help you, blah, 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 when they actually were. And so that alliance was actually pushing for her to have a house meeting and like blow up Janelle's game and all this stuff. And she was really, really close to doing it. And so what you saw in the episode was like all these moments of frustration. And I did not feel bad for her one bit when she was like, you didn't help me enough, Jenelle, and like all this. And like, they're not the ones who nominated her. But I do think that, like you said, they needed to abandon that ship way sooner. And also now they're left with Kevin.
Yeah. I think there's a chance they could pull in some other people, but I do think it's interesting the way things are like panning out. I think we saw a bit of that with Davon, like basically like, upholding her loyalty to David, even though she kind of acknowledged like, I'm not really friends with David, and David kind of pissed her off this week, but she's like, I'm staying loyal to this, vow that I made to myself, which like by all means that's her right to do as like a contestant. I do wonder, will that last for 10 more weeks,
David was super annoying.
Yeah.
Especially when he's like, I am in an alliance. And she's like, if I guess, will you tell me? And he was like, no. Like
such bad gameplay. Like,
gameplay. If David's saying like, you need to downplay your loyalty to me, okay. But I would watch myself saying that to someone who is being loyal to me. You don't have this long-term friendship established with them. Yeah. Davon could have easily been like, okay, I won't be so loyal to you. And I, for a moment, wished she had. But I think, like, honestly, happy to see Nicole A go by the end of the week. And kind of happy that there's going to be only one Nicole left because I'm tired of Nicole F, Nicole A.
Well, speaking of Nicole F, I feel like we need to talk about something that's really affecting the house. It's a really sad disease that's going around that I'm sure there's a cure for, honestly.
Is there a vaccine? And they said it would take 18 months, I think.
That's a very good question, but it's the new disease known as jealousy.
What?
There is some drama between Nicole F and Jenelle, and it predates Big Brother 22. From what I understand, and the listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, but a while back on Amazing Race, which is a show I do not watch. However, I've tuned in from time to time when there have been Big Brother people on. I sadly did not watch the season with Jenelle and Brittney as a duo. Rachel Riley and her sister Alyssa, who you remember from another season of, was it season 15 of Big Brother? They were a duo. And then Nicole F and Victor, who are now engaged, were a duo on Amazing Race.
All three of those pairs were playing at the same time?
Yes.
Oh. Was it like a reality show season?
I'm not exactly sure. They started peppering in Big Brother players throughout the years, I think, just to like bring over some of those viewers. So there were multiple Big Brother teams on that season. So obviously they were going to form some kind of alliance or agreement or pact or whatever you want to call it in Amazing Race terms. Because I'm not a huge fan of Amazing Race, but I do understand there are basically like penalties or things that you can do to other teams to like basically screw them over in the race and give yourself an advantage. And so apparently on their season, Rachel Riley basically warned Nicole and Victor that, hey, this other team said they're going to U-turn you guys at the next like stop or whatever, because you can, and they have to go back, and it could basically cause you to get like eliminated from the race. And so she was trying to warn Nicole and Victor. And instead of just taking that information and being prepared for like, okay, we're going to have to do some sort of obstacle or whatever it is, like some test, Nicole F just went to that team and said, Rachel told me you guys were going to U-turn us. And that pissed off, obviously, the Big Brother Alliance, because it's like Rachel like basically got that information and gave it to you to try to help you. And instead you're just going to screw her team over. And so that really bothered Jenelle. Jenelle considers herself to be a real adult, and like Nicole's like very young still, and like we know that she's an Instagram influencer and all of that, and I think there's just like maybe a generational divide, even though obviously we saw with Nicole A, like Janelle's very capable of getting along with someone much younger than her. So I don't think it's this I'm jealous of a younger woman thing. Maybe there have been some questions asked that may put Nicole F on the defensive, like, oh, they're making fun of me. They're making fun of, like, she's broken down several times, like thinking that people are making fun of her when they're just asking questions. Like, it's just causing a divide there. And then I think along the way, just seeing that like Nicole's clearly aligned with this bigger group, you know, they're not on the same side.
So has Nicole gone to most of the rest of her alliance being like, oh, Jenelle just can't be trusted because of this Amazing Race thing?
She said basically how she did it was, Jenelle hates me. Jenelle, like, it's very much like Jenelle doesn't like me. And I know Jenelle doesn't like me. I know she's talking about me. And I have seen clips of Jenelle talking about her, but really more just like related to the Amazing Race, just saying, I don't trust her as in a game. I like her personally. I believe she even said, like, I'm invited to the wedding, which I thought was crazy. But she just said, in a gameplay way, very similar to maybe like the way Davon views Nicole F, I do not trust her because she screwed me over before. Because even though she didn't screw over Jenelle directly in that game, I think Jenelle and Brittney probably took that as like, yeah, you did, because we're all aligned. We're supposed to be Team Big Brother looking out for each other, and you screwed over another one of our teams.
Wow, I can't believe Jenelle and Rachel and Brittney were all on Amazing Race. And 1, I didn't watch it. 2, I didn't even know it was happening. That's weird. And it's also kind of unfortunate that has kind of spiraled into the BB game.
Rachel tweeted the other day, it amuses me that I am being used as a strategy, and I am playing the game, but I am sitting at home 7 months pregnant, living rent-free in their heads. Hashtag BB22, that's a true BB queen. And then she says, now on to my girls winning at Jenelle at Bailey.
It's very interesting because obviously I love Rachel, and I never knew that she and Jenelle had become friends. And today, as I called it, hashtag Janellen, all of these BB players were coming to Janelle's defense and tweeting like, we've played with her, or I'm friends with her, and she's as sweet and as kind of like gives no fucks as she does on the show. Like, they're like, we don't understand the hate this season. And so that was really interesting, especially coming from Jessica, I believe, right? Her name's Jessica, who's with Cody. I mean, she was the ultimate mean girl, but I still really liked her. And she was on Amazing Race, I think. With Cody. Was it Cody?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Swaggy C defended her.
Yeah. And somebody was like, Jenelle said she's never even met you. He's like, it doesn't matter. He's like, we've talked on the phone. Like we chat all the time. He's like, she's cool.
Yeah.
Jenelle and Rachel didn't do very well on Amazing Race. And then Nicole and Victor came in 4th. So maybe they're also annoyed at that.
Yep. probably.
I really wanted Rachel to be in this, and she honestly should be. For an all-star season to not have Rachel Riley is a crime against humanity. One of the tweets was like, "I wish you were in there. Nothing comes between me and my fetus." Honestly, I think having like a pregnant person would be kind of fun. And if she doesn't want to compete in the challenges, she can just drop out.
No, right. Like Christmas wasn't able to do most of them the season that she broke her foot.
Well, thank you, Praz, for doing the hard-hitting journalist analysis of what went down on Amazing Race, because I truly had no idea.
Yeah.
And Jill, thank you for getting us up to speed with this new disease, jealousy.
And so it's probably going to continue into this week. We can sort of get into last night's episode with the votes and eviction, and then on to HOH where, yeah, Nick, get those tears ready, I guess.
Well, I guess to start, what do you think? Red shirt, black pants? Is that worthy of live TV?
Okay, so week 3, as soon as I saw the outfit, I did not like it. Praz called it right away that I wouldn't like it. The shirt was way too boxy. The pants were not tailored. I just like, Julie, you have a great body. You're a beautiful woman. What are you doing? Her necklace situation was weird. I was watching with my friend Julia, who requested that I use her name this week. And she said that her necklace looked like a candy necklace. It looks cheap. The whole outfit looks like she got it at some bargain basement shop. I need her to step it up. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jill. I just think it's a missed opportunity for her to like wear something really fierce. It's like, we're all stuck at home. You're not Julie, and just show us some glam every Thursday night. Like, not this. It did look like something my mom wore, like from Dress Barn, like in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Can we, I know we were maybe going to talk about it later, but can we please just address the most bizarre part of what she said last night?
Danny, let me just say happy birthday. And as a present, you looked beautiful last week. What?
It's weird.
But then saying, you looked like that actress, Busy
Phillips.
It was so weird. It was so bizarre. I can't even. And John was like, wait, what? Why did she say Busy Phillips? I'm like, okay, but also, why did she say you looked pretty last week? Like, what a weird shade thing. It reminds me of one time I was at an event with lots of women, and someone greeted me and introduced themselves to me, even though we had met several times. Basically I said, hey, it's me, Praz. And she goes, oh, Praz, I didn't recognize you. You look so pretty. That's shade, right? I felt like Julie, it was like reminiscent of this person who shall not be named. Shade.
I just checked Busy's Twitter, and the only thing it seems, so someone else posted like the quote and said like, this is the weirdest thing Julie Chen has said, and Busy quote tweeted it and just said, this is weird, shrug emoji.
Oh.
Okay, Busy, you don't even deserve it.
I know. Wow. I think that literally last week there must have been a tweet where somebody was like, wow, Danny looks so pretty. She looks like Busy Phillips. And that's why specifically Julie was like, you looked so pretty last week. Happy birthday. Ha ha.
It was so weird.
Why wasn't Julie wearing a mask when Nicole came out? And I don't know, did I miss that in the Keisha week? Did she not wear a mask then either?
No, she doesn't wear the mask.
But didn't she wear one when they checked in?
I don't remember.
How am I just realizing this?
I feel like I have not seen her face with a mask because I felt like she has it in her contract that she like doesn't want to be on screen in a mask or something.
Interesting.
I just like, that's why I feel like I can't remember her wearing a mask, because I feel like we've just seen her face every week.
Right. But again, why did Nicole have to wear a mask? Why did Keisha have to wear a mask? If you think about it, aren't they like less likely of having COVID than Julie at this point?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I was looking on Twitter for something, and it seems like we're definitely not the only ones having this conversation. People are like, "This makes no sense, Julie, that you're not wearing a mask, and that the contestants are." Like, it all makes kind of little sense. It was pretty clean and simple. Nicole A out quick, and then Julie dragged her to hell.
That was the best. I love that she was basically like, well, you won America's favorite, but what the hell you doing this season, girl?
And also basically just being like, no, you were very wrong. Like, Jenelle and Kaser were on your side. Like,
it was so good. I'm glad she did that, but then it also proves that there's probably no buyback or whatever it's called when people get back in the game.
There might be like for jury, like usually, but maybe, I don't think there are for these first few weeks because like Keisha already has done interviews and all that. Like,
yeah. So I just thought that was so funny that not only was she like, Jenelle cried for you. How does that make you feel? And, Nicole was a little too proud to even back down. Like, she's like, well, in the moment, I still like, kind of feel this way. Like, I was like, listen, you were on TV with somebody who won America's favorite twice.
Yeah.
And you decided that you didn't want to like be friends with them. And so I guess, what goes around comes around, Nicole. I was not sorry to see her go. I was not sorry about her tears. It was really funny when Julie was like, wish I could hug you, but I can't.
John goes, she loves COVID. She loves that she doesn't have to hug that.
I mean, I'm with her on that. So
she revealed the alliance of 6.
Yeah.
And was like, are you surprised? And she's like, she was only surprised because Christmas and Memphis were part of it. Well, it's also very interesting that Jenelle, Nicole, like all these people are aware that Cody, Danny, Nicole, and Tyler are working together, but they don't know that it has tentacles.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that won't last long. I think people are going to start to figure it out.
Yeah. And so then we went into an HOH that I guess that's the beginning of the end for you, Nick.
So on Twitter all week, we've been, tweeting like, please production, rig the competition. We need Rig Brother. Everybody call up Ms. Allison Grodner and tell her like, what to do. So it was funny to see that in this competition that would be judged on how fast and how far, that both Kaser and Jenelle were last.
Yes,
because
I was
that
like,
meant that they had the biggest advantage. The competition was weird. I don't know thematically how that has anything to do with All Stars or Big Brother or the summer. I just thought it was kind of dumb. Yeah. It was also confusing because they would face the beer, and then Julie was like, "No, turn around."
Face the counters. And they're like, I'm facing the counter. Like,
I know. And then it was very strange when Christmas decided to change up the strategy and put all 3 down on their separate barrels.
It was a bad
instead of just bring them all with her.
Yeah, slid her down.
Yeah, that was very, very strange. And some other people followed that strategy. Tyler got 12. Janelle got 11. It was so close. Kaser, though, was terrible at it. And since he was last, he should have taken his time because he should have slowly tried to get over Tyler's number instead of trying to move so fast.
The time thing screwed, it just screwed up the whole competition. It bothered me. It's just frustrating because I felt like everyone was like, oh, it's 30 seconds, I have to get it done. Everyone had so much time left. If they had just taken a few more seconds to like calibrate and like thoughtfully send it down, they could have,
They all flew through it way too fast. And especially with people that you saw where they like flew off the thing, like Kaser.
It was disappointing. I really hoped she was going to pull it out. And I just think if she'd taken a little bit more time to do it, knowing that Kaser was following her anyway, take a beat and just slowly launch it down.
What's something really funny to check out, loyal listeners, is Brittney Hayes does weekly puppet shows of the Big Brother cast.
Yeah.
And she did a funny recap last night of basically everything we talked about, where she was being Julie Chen yelling at Nicole about being so stupid. And then when Tyler won HOH, Brittney used her Julie Chen puppet to face America and goes, Don't worry, America. We'll think of something.
I hope so.
It was so perfect because all we, the people, want was that Jenelle win. That would have really reinvigorated this. And I know we're so like Jenelle mentionitis, but like for me, that is Big Brother. Season 6 is the best season ever to exist. And this just felt so good to me to have them back.
Mhm.
And it's going so terribly wrong. And that's what upsets me.
It's a bummer, for sure. It's a bummer. The same alliance has been in power now 3 weeks. And it's just like annoying because, big alliances at this early are just annoying in general.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to lift Nick's spirits. There could be, a backdoor situation. We still got veto to play. You never know.
Yeah, I was not well last night. I was on the verge of tears. I went to bed early. I had a headache. I scrolled Twitter, even though I said I was going to go to bed early, and just looked at all the tweets. Hashtag Jenelle was pushed is very funny. It's funny just to see everybody rallying around this and kind of pushing for more entertaining Big Brother. Even past winner Andy Herron is like, this is just going to be boring. He's like,
yeah,
right.
A lot of the past players are just like, oh, okay.
I'm really hoping something can change this week. Someone will implode. Maybe Nicole will I still think, and Nick's been saying it since the beginning, but you have 2 former winners in the house. Get them out. You saw what Dan Giesling did in season 14, or you just get them out. Get them out. Well, I know, Nick, you're so bummed, and I'm bummed too, and I love Jenelle too, and Kaser, and I really hope they can pull it out. Maybe our next segment could cheer you up. It seems to be one that you've loved, last week especially.
Welcome to Crunching Numbers, our weekly segment where we take on a mental challenge of our own.
So what numbers are we crunching this week, peeps?
Okay, so for this week's Crunchy Numbers, boy, did I crunch some numbers. I think you all know that this is the 22nd season of Big Brother, and that Big Brother has been on for 20 years. You all know, Big Brother contestants, they win $500,000. Seems like a lot of money, right? What about Survivor? They win $1 million. And even this last season of Survivor, which was season 40, and it was also an all-star season, the winner of that season won $2 million. Just looking at that, I thought, that doesn't seem right. And then I started thinking about things like inflation rates and tax rates. And basically, these numbers crunch out to be that a player that won 20 years ago effectively had 50% more wealth than a winner today. Can you believe it? Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
How?
So here's how it works. $500,000 in the year 2000, adjusted for inflation in 2020, would today be worth over $750,000.
Wow.
So that's where you get that 50%. So then I know you're going to say taxes. Okay, tax rates have changed. Sure, they have. Even factoring in taxes and the tax rate changes over the years, a winner 20 years ago would have 44% more wealth than a winner today when you adjust for inflation. So even though, they have to pay, we all know Richard Hatch didn't pay his season 1 Survivor tax bill. I think they've all figured that out now. They have to pay taxes. A winner today, that money is not worth the same as it was in the year 2000. Here's another thing to consider. The cost of a 30-second ad that CBS can charge during Big Brother. I think it's around $100K per 30-second ad. 18 minutes of ad times in an episode. Let's say maybe 15 minutes of those are national time, meaning not local news or local car dealership ads. Maybe 3 minutes of that is CBS promoting Love Island or other CBS programming. So you can say 12 minutes of sellable time, and I think that's even being conservative. That's $2.4 million per episode generated in ad revenue.
Wow.
A winner today is less of a winner than they were in the first season of Big Brother 20 years ago.
Wow.
You can do better. You can do better, CBS.
These are good numbers to crunch.
Oh, such great numbers. And I feel like we're really getting into the TV biz with ad sales. I'm really loving it.
This is great. Very informative.
So what do you guys think? Should they up the prize money for Big Brother?
I think for a properly produced Big Brother All-Stars, they should have $1 million.
I agree.
I think Nick's right that, like, okay, even if they want to stick to 500,000, maybe at least for this year they could have made it $1 million. But I suppose with COVID, I don't know, maybe like it just would have felt wrong, like a weird season to do it.
If they did $1 million, I want winners back, and I want like all stars. I don't want David competing for $1 million.
Right,
like, I want to see
true.
people who've really gone far.
I think that, like, also, to be honest, in general, prize money for reality shows has gone down, not up. So, like, I think 1,500,000 are still good numbers for a broadcast show. Just in the way that ratings have gone down, they just have to account for things like that, unfortunately. So it's like not surprising to me that it hasn't changed. And I really don't think it ever will, is my guess.
True. Plus, what the contestants lack in money, they make up for in Instagram followers, which they can then turn into selling on Instagram. You know, I would play the game even if there wasn't a cash prize.
Yeah, that's true.
I just want to play. Even if there were no cameras, I just want to play.
Anyway, I just thought those were some interesting numbers, and it bothers me because I think Big Brother is as hard as, in a completely different way, but as hard as Survivor. And I just feel like they should both be $1 million prize.
So I have some numbers that have been crunched this week as well.
Ooh.
So as of this week, Jenelle now holds the record for the most days played in Big Brother history.
Wow.
So as of recording time, she's now been in the Big Brother house 194 days.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yes.
Which, by my math, is more than half a year.
Wow.
By your
And if you adjusted for inflation of the length of Big Brother seasons, because she made it to final 3 her first 2 seasons, and now a final 3 makes it to the end of the game, and like over 100 days. Like it's like in her season, those were only like 90 days or something.
So actually, in her season, so season 6, she was in the house for 80 days. In season 7, she was in the house for 72 days.
Wow.
That's insane. So she was originally the person who held the record, but then Paul from seasons past with the beard, he took the record because he made it to the final 2 twice.
Yeah.
He was in the house for 99 days his first season, and then 92 days his second season.
Wow. Yeah, it's just the seasons are so much longer now.
Yeah.
You know, when Paul broke her record, she probably was like, but wait, asterisk. Like,
yeah. So it's pretty cool that she's back on top. So we love to see that.
Love to see it. I'll be crunching some numbers next week. Everyone can look forward to that. How about?
Ooh, Jill, do you have a hint?
Well, it's going to involve some guessing on your part, so I just don't really want to give it up right now.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was this week's Crunchy Numbers. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And now I think, it's pretty much safe to say we can move into
Spoiler Zone. Well, here we are. Tyler Taylor has won HOH. And let me just get into the spoilers for this week.
Well, first, just hold on, Nick, before you go. I have to just tell the listeners, while we're recording, nominations happened.
Yeah. So I don't even get to be a witch, although, hello, it doesn't take a witch this week. But let me tell you first, Enzo won the safety suite and saved Christmas. So Christmas is saved.
What?
Oh, yeah, I know. It's so weird to save Christmas.
Why do you say that?
Enzo saved Christmas. And now just revealed on Twitter while recording that Tyler has nominated Kaysar and Jenelle.
God, no.
Yeah. So my prayer candles are going to be lit.
Oh my fucking God.
I know. It's awful. It's truly awful. It's like, why?
Ugh.
Like, ugh. So here's the thing. We know that Jenelle is the veto queen. She can do this. We just really also need production to rig it so that it's a competition that happens where we actually don't see the results happen.
Yes,
And then
yes. They can just change the time.
yes, that's all we need. That's all we need. And
what if it needs to be the diamond power veto?
Where she
So
gets to choose who goes up?
Yes. And she can take
Kaser with her. We basically need the coup d'etat to happen. And I did just see a tweet that said, CBS, give Jenelle the coup d'etat and we promise to watch Love Island.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, yes, seriously. I will do anything. Give it to her. I know part of the appeal of her is she was such a badass her first 2 seasons, and she was able to pull out the wins when she needed to. Obviously, not enough to make it to those final 2 seats, but like she really pulled out a win in those clutch situations. And I really just want her to do it again. But if she doesn't, come on, CBS.
I know. I know. Exactly. It's like they need to be like, oh, somebody's got COVID. Like something needs to happen. And or I'm getting this like premonition that she wins the veto and uses it on Kaser.
Oh my God, no, she would never.
I'm telling you, I'm getting this motherly premonition where she's just like, you know what? Here's the thing. Every time they get nominated together, he goes home.
Yeah.
And it's usually week 3 or week 4. So
well, Nick, what are your witchy predictions in terms of who you think's going home?
I think okay.
No, because the problem is Nick can almost will it into existence, and I really need him to like pause and think, and let's maybe like reframe what a witch's predictions might mean.
I don't want to put it out there, okay?
Okay.
Because I just don't want to put it out there. So thank you, Praz, for protecting my power like that.
That's fine. I accept that.
And here's the thing. Here is what I'm putting out there. Jenelle wins the veto.
Yes.
I need that. That's all I'm asking for. I haven't received anything this entire year. None of us have. And this is the only thing I had. So it's like, that's all I want in this entire 2020 is for Jenelle to win the veto.
Listeners, please have us in your prayers. Please think good thoughts. Before you go to sleep, just wish this as well. Really just help here.
And
I'm so upset.
Please reach out. I know a lot of you have, but in these uncertain times, it's really, hearing everybody just kind of stand with me. Hashtag I stand with Nick. You'll notice I was celebrating Jenelle all week in my Instagram stories just because I felt like it was the week we could do it. Here's the thing. To her credit, Jill was being very positive last night and saying, there's still the veto, and I have to trust in that. It's like the only thing that's giving me hope right now.
I know that we talked about it last week, but I really wish that she had saved her safety suite. And I know she didn't know, and we didn't know, but it would have been so sweet if she could have won and saved Kaser and been like, haha, bitches.
I know.
Ugh. Tyler. Fucking hated him his season.
And see, I like Tyler. And
I know not anymore.
Tyler. Get this. Here's another skinny. Tyler's a bowler.
I didn't know.
What do you think of last night's competition?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I don't know. I do believe that production probably was hoping Jenelle or Kaser would win HOH.
Of course.
But they could have given her something like add up the makeup in this bag of value. And like,
he was like, why couldn't it have been real estate trivia?
So true. Like Minnesota real estate laws or something.
True or false?
There should be one of those apps where how like you could say you can text USPS to this number to like save the post office.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wish we could text Jenelle to a number to like start a letter writing campaign to CBS and figure this out, make it work. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a link in bio that autofills an email for people to send.
We shouldn't end on such a sad note, but I do feel bad for you guys. I, through osmosis, also care about the two of them and don't want them to go home. But it's a great game. We're enjoying potting. There's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
If Nick doesn't drop off right after Jenelle leaves.
Oh, yeah, that's another reason to hope that she doesn't go home, because if you want a complete season of Butt First, which has never happened, you got to hope that Jenelle makes it to the end.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, thanks for listening, loyal listeners. Keep us in your thoughts and prayers. And from 3 miles down the road of the Big Brother house, I'm Nick.
I'm Praz.
And I'm Jill.
Good night.
I'm too sad.
And just remember, if you have the choice of being right or being kind, always choose kindness.